A second D has hit your backlog. This is the D Gundam 2nd, and it is a high grade worth your time and money. Why is that? Well, this kit comes with a metric ton of accessories, it looks good, moves good, and has an interesting story behind it. So grab some food and a drink while we learn more about the D Gundam 2nd. Released in May 2026 for 3,080 yen in Premium Bandai, we have the high grade D Gundam 2nd from Under the Gundam Double Fake. Standard P Bandai style box art, just a monochromatic color. We have a CG render along with another CG render of the kit shooting. There is no credited artist. At the top, just the name and the legal information. At the bottom, boring stuff, just the name again. And here is what it would look like stacked up in your backlog. High grade Universal Century, a little bit of a thicker box, so we might have a lot more stuff inside. Opening up the box, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bags of runners, and of course the manual. So here we have the manual of the D Gundam 2nd. This is a P Bandai manual, so not a lot of stuff to look at. We just have the runner list, which we have a ton of unused pieces, all from the D Gundam 1st. Then it's just all instructions, no extra fluff. And here is the color guide if you want to recreate the color scheme with Mr. Aqueous paints. For the contents of the box, we get a total of 13 runners, all in polystyrene, 7 of which originate from the D Gundam 1st, released last year, so it is labeled as such, made in 2024. The next 5 runners for this kit is all brand new, labeled D Gundam 2nd, made in 2026. Then the final runner is SB13 for some Beam Saber effect parts, and lastly a sheet of color correcting stickers. That's it for the contents, let's build. For the build of the D Gundam 2nd, I just want to say that I haven't built the D Gundam 1st yet, but you can actually build the 1st with this exact kit. It basically comes with everything you need to build the D Gundam 1st since it is based on that. Bandai just decided to give us a 2-in-1 D special. Okay, back to the build. I have heard great things about the D 1st, and the 2nd is also incredibly impressive. It honestly bothers me why some really good and well-engineered kits like this and kits like the Adapt, the Gundam 7th are all limited to P Bandai because, not gonna lie, some of them are better than some regular release kits, and I'm pretty sure kits like the Adapt and the 7th would sell more than a recolor of the Dom from G-Quox, which is a good kit though, but you get it. The inconsistency on what's P Bandai or not is weird. Tangent aside, how this kit builds up is great. For a high grade, the construction is truly modern. It's crazy how you can slowly see Bandai's high grades improving slowly and slowly over time. It's all the simple things, less seams, better color separation, the articulation improving while still having a low parts count. These high grades remain simple, but just the pure efficiency on how they use these parts to give you a rewarding and satisfying, but also quick build. Also, this kit has a ton of accessories. Now, I usually do the lore research after building the kit, so I'm curious to see why it has all of these stuff. Putting it all together, it is a great high grade. I know the premium in Premium Bandai doesn't really mean premium, but this kit feels premium. The build experience is incredibly smooth with no real issues in stability, no problem points to note about, just a fun high grade. Of course, here's the build guide. If you want to have a smoother experience, it has all the runners used and the specific parts per section, so save this video or share it yourself when you do get this kit. And here's the parts breakdown. We have a pretty normal amount of parts for a high grade, 182, maybe a little bit more than average because of all the accessories. Here is the high grade D Gundam 2nd, all built up according to the manual for pure out-of-box accuracy, and this design is really unique. This quote-unquote Gundam has such unique proportions. Those incredibly wide shoulders with that really thin waist gives it a very dynamic look similar to the IBO Gundam frames. It is such a unique design, but still feels like it's from UC. Just looking at the design of the head, it's so sharp, and the way they tweak the typical Gundam aesthetic is really cool. The mohawk is bigger, the V-fin is way longer, the face is a lot shorter. Going to the torso, just look at that bust. The shoulder is just crazy big and blocky with great color separation and detail. You get exposed pistons at the forearms and even more exposed ones at the waist that move along with the torso. The way the skirts also look are a neat twist, with the front skirt being way longer than the crotch, and just looking at the legs with the exposed frame gives it that mechanical look and makes it look incomplete or less complete, which makes sense because there is a D Gundam 3rd that has armor where the frame parts are on the 2nd. Speaking of variants, let's talk about what makes the D Gundam 2nd different from the D Gundam 1st. Its predecessor both in lore and in model kit form. Credits to Schizophonic 9 for the photos. The head is mostly the same with some changes with the details, and of course it has an attachment on. The front skirts and the crotch is different, the shoulders are different, the arms are also new, the backpack is also completely retooled with some more thrusters, and the legs are redesigned. So it may not seem like it, but they did change a lot. But both kits still have great aesthetics, but it's not all perfect, so let's talk about the model kit flaws. Color inaccuracies. This kit has some stickers. The sensors at the head, same thing at the back. This yellow piece at the chest is a sticker. This black area at the cockpit is also a sticker. In the crotch, these yellow areas are stickers. This white part at the knee is a sticker. This white part at the crotch is also a sticker. The thrusters here at the back should be in yellow, the insides of the thrusters, I mean. Same thing for the thrusters when it's deployed, should be in yellow. Also, this part at the knee should be in yellow too. For the accessories, this part is missing some white at the rifle. These yellow parts at the wired bombs are also stickers. For seam lines, a lot of them are made of as panel lines, like here at the head, here at the thighs. So you don't really have any seam lines to worry about. Same thing here for the shoulders, all hidden as panel lines. However, we do have some hollow pieces here at the feet. This part of the beam saber is made up as a panel line. And the weapons have some seam lines. The bazooka has a seam line right in the middle. The drill gun as well has a seam line in the middle. And the torch gun also has a seam line. So for some lore, the MSW 19051 G2 D Gundam 2nd is the upgraded form of the D Gundam 1st, featured in the 1990 manga Under the Gundam Double Fake, written by Tetsuya Asagiri, and is illustrated by Yuji Ushida with mechanical design by Hitoshi Fukuchi and is set in the year of UC 0090. It was built and piloted by Derry Neil Guns, an engineer for the Monotone Mouse Corporation. Now, we can't really talk about the D Gundam 2nd lore without talking about the D Gundam 1st, which isn't even a Gundam in the first place. The D Gundam 1st is actually a heavily modified mobile worker. In the UC canon, mobile workers are basically giant construction equipment for use in space that can come in humanoid or non-humanoid shape. Some examples are the Cattle, the Geze, and the Med. Additional lore fact, the Principality of Zeon was able to keep secret its development of its OG combat-oriented mobile suits by classifying the project as development for mobile workers. Back to the D Gundam, it was built by Derry Neil Guns, an engineered and certified Gundam fanboy. Same, Mr. Derry, same. It was made out of mostly scrap parts in order to resemble the RX-78-2 Gundam. In the story of Under the Gundam Double Fake, Derry and his fellow members of the Monotone Mouse Corporation were tasked in repairing the Texas colony when they were attacked by the Colorde forces of the New Summer Project, which was actually a front of the second Neo-Zeon movement under Char Aznavour. Now pushed into conflict, Derry and his not really a Gundam join with the Earth Federation forces, Araha's company, to fight for and protect the Texas colony. The D Gundam 1st is later upgraded to the D Gundam 2nd, adding to it Gundarium front armor and new weapons, such as a corded combination beam rifle/grenade launcher. Derry would continue to use the D Gundam 2nd to protect the Texas colony, and eventually have it considered by the opposing forces and allies alike as a true blue Gundam. The D Gundam and D Gundam 2nd's mechanical design is credited to Hitoshi Fukuchi, a mechanical designer that has been with the Gundam franchise since the 90s. As stated earlier, Fukuchi did the mecha designs for Under the Gundam Double Fake, which includes the D Gundam 1st and 2nd, the Zizakai, and the Zaku 3 late type, just to name a few. He also published his own short design series featured in Bandai's model journal titled Fukuchi Mobile Suit Station, which is made up of various variant designs of the One-Year War mobile suits, such as the Zagok Crab, the GM Spartan, and the RX-80. Some of his recent work can be found in Gundam 00, having designed the Union and the AEU faction mobile suits. For size comparisons, in universe this is 18.9 meters tall, so in 1/144 scale, around 13.1 centimeters tall, so slightly above average. Here's it next to a standard size average height mobile suit, the 1/144 scale RX-78, the Osaka Gundam. Here's it next to the high-grade Police Zaku from G-Quax. Here's it next to the G-Quax from G-Quax. Here's it next to the newly released Gundam Barbatos Adapt. And next to a standard size 1/100 scale kit this time, the MG RX-78, the Origin. And lastly, here's it next to a big master grade, the full armor Double Zeta Verka. So a little bit of a taller kit. So here are the spare parts of the D Gundam 2nd. It's basically just all the parts to make it the D Gundam 1st. So if you do want to assemble it as the D Gundam 1st, you can do it as such. It'll take lots of disassembly, so I suggest just picking one. So if you had a hard time getting the D Gundam 1st, and you can find this one for cheaper, and also you get the whole shotgun included. So here we have the accessories of the D Gundam 2nd. We have 3 hands, the beam rifle, the wire bombs, the beam sabers, some wires for the cables, the torch gun, the bazooka, the shield, the drill gun, the magnetic anchor, and the rivet gun. So for the hands, they attach via a ball joint. You get a holding fist for both hands, and for the left hand, you have a nice open hand. Now there is a gimmick at the arms called the knuckle crushers. You can just move it that way and you can crush knuckles. Then we have the beam rifle, pretty simple, just mainly 2 pieces. Then you just use the holding hand, it can slide easily, very secure, no issues whatsoever. And you get a nice cable here to connect to the back part of the rifle. Then you route it around the body to the backpack so that it looks like it's connected to the cable. Very nice. Now, the beam rifle cannot be stored anywhere when not in use, by the way. Next thing we have are the beam sabers. You get 2 of them. You get the standard pink beam saber effect parts, which are not UV reactive. To hold the beam saber, you have to open up the hands and just slot it in. No issues holding it whatsoever. To start them, you have this little guy here, an adapter. You have 2 of them. It has a little slot to attach onto the beam saber, and you can attach it onto either side skirt, like so. Now we have the wire bombs that can attach onto the back skirt. There are slots there for it, like so. They attach very securely, no issues, and there is a gimmick for the actual wire bomb. You have this part with a long wire. You connect this peg onto the bomb, and to the handle, you attach the bigger female hole. Then you can just attach it onto the hands, so you can have it shooting the bomb. Very dynamic. It can hold very easily. The wire is strong enough to have it in the air. Here we have the bazooka. The handle can be articulated. There is a seam line right in the middle. And use the same holding hand. Because of the articulated handle, it's very easy to pose without any issues with the parts conflicting. And there's no way to store this when not in use. The next thing we have is the drill gun, which has a detachable drill. Attach this first onto the kit. The drill can be used with the cable, similar to the wire bombs. So you can have it shooting out the drill. And it also has a connection point for the other cable that routes to the backpack. So you can have this nice little cable sort of setup. To start the drill gun, it has a little protrusion here that you can slot onto the side skirts, like so. Then we have the torch gun, very simple, nothing extra gimmicks here. Torch gun cannot be stored anywhere. But let's look at the magnetic anchor first, very simple as well. This one can connect to the cable at the back. It has a little peg hole, so it can connect to the cable at the back. And to shoot the anchor, you can use the same cable mechanism. And there you have it, shooting the magnetic anchor. Then our last gun is the rivet gun. Very simple, similar to the torch gun. No extra gimmicks, it's just a nice little accessory. Then to store all of this, here is where the shield comes in. Now the shield also has some little armaments. We have the sticky bullets or the balls here that can be detached. It's a little bit tight though. You can use the open hand to hold it, but it doesn't really hold it with any sort of connection, so it's just by gravity. Now going back to the neat gimmick of the shield, you can open up these areas, just take out the covers, and you can use the shield to store the wire anchor and the rivet gun. Just make sure to put back all the covers. And to use the shield, it has an adapter here, and it connects to the back of either forearm, left or right, and it slots in and connects like so very easily. Can rotate around on a ball joint. You can move it, but it'll be stuck here at the side. It cannot be attached from the back. And lastly, we have an action-based adapter at the bottom of the waist. So this kit comes with a metric ton of accessories. So many options for weapons that you can't equip them all, so you're really spoiled for choice. Display it however you want. Not to mention, you also get the option to just build the Gundam first, though that will inflate the price, but still better to have them as useful spare pieces than just scrap. For the articulation of the Gundam second, we start at the head. It is double jointed, so you have a swing forward and a ball joint at the top, giving you lots of great movement. Pretty much uninhibited. The shoulders can swing forward quite well. Backward, not as much. The shoulder armor is individually articulated. The sideways arm raise is around 90 degrees. 360 at the upper bicep. 360 at the arm. Double jointed elbow bend, quite nice. The knuckle crushers can swing. Hands are on ball joints. Now the waist movement is great. For the ab crunch, we get a good forward, good backward as well. Side to side is also stellar. And a nice thing I want to point out is that the piston or cylinders move along with the kit. Really impressive for a high grade. However, because of that, you don't get a 360 rotation at the waist, but you don't really need that most of the time. These side skirts can swing forward and back. Side skirts are on ball joints, so they can move out of the way. Back skirt cannot move. The hip joint has a dropping mechanism, so let's see if you can get a good kick out of that. Forward kick is around 90 degrees, so pretty standard. Backward is blocked because of the back skirt, but you can move it a little bit to the side, so you can get around 90 degrees. Sideways leg raise, 90 degrees. 360 at the upper thigh. Double jointed knee bend, very good. This part at the back of the leg can swing. For the ankles, you can go down like that. Upward, not that much. You can get a full rotation. The downward toe bend is really good. You get a decent inward and a decent outward, but not too much. Downward toe bend is quite good though. Now for the backpack, these are on ball joints, so it can move like so. Now a cool little gimmick it has is this part can go down to make this open up, and the thrusters move alongside the armor. So when you put this out, the thrusters pop out. So very nice gimmick. Unique to the Gundam second. The first did not have this gimmick. because it had a different backpack. So the articulation of this kit is amazing for the most part. The only limitation is the waist rotation due to the pistons having to be connected, and the back skirt doesn't really move. But overall, you can still get dynamic poses both on the ground and in the air. Combine that with all the different armaments, you got yourself a fun kit. Now let's discuss about what I like and dislike about the model kit. So the first thing I like is that the build is just impressive and just super solid. No real issues with stability or loose pieces. The build is great for a high grade and it's just up to modern standards. Furthermore, the kit looks amazing. The amount of detail, the proportions, the color separation, along with all the different ways to display, makes this kit a beautiful piece. But there are some flaws, mainly some color correcting stickers, some hollowness at the feet, and seams at the weapons, but not the end of the world, so just make sure to do some painting or maybe some closing some seam lines if you want to really elevate your kit to make it perfect. The posability though is great for the most part, not perfect, but for a high grade, making dynamic poses is a breeze with how solid it is. Both on the ground and on the air, you can have tons of fun. Speaking of fun, this kit comes with so many options with the weapons that it's too much really. You can't display them all, you're just spoiled for choice. So many ways to display and they all work well with no issues. Plus, you can build the Gundam first with the spare pieces if that's your fancy. However, the biggest flaw about this kit is the price, along with being a P Bandai exclusive. For reference, the Gundam First was an insane deal at 2,500 yen, so less than 20 USD, while this is at 3,080 yen, so 20 USD, which is still an amazing deal considering what you get, but you are paying for all those spare pieces that you most likely won't be able to use all at once. Add that along with the inevitable extra you have to pay if you don't get a pre-order, the kit starts getting a bit pricey. So is this kit a buy? If you can get it at pre-order price, it is amazing. Even though it comes with tons of spares, the price is still pretty fair considering all the accessories and options you get, along with the build quality of the mobile suit itself. It is a highly recommended kit. Now for the kit, I have nothing to warn you guys about, so I'll give you guys a quick tip. I will be showing you guys how to paint the inside of the thrusters very easily. Get the brush and go in a circle. Don't worry if you go overboard because just wait for it to dry a little bit and get your hobby knife and just scrape it. Scrape it until it's clean. And there you go, nice and clean. Of course, don't do this if the thing is painted. You can also use a sanding sponge to remove the excess or even some thinner. What are your guys' thoughts about the kit? Are you gonna buy it? Were you able to pre-order it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to support the channel, feel free to like and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your time. Bye!